clearly have been locked in, and they have seen two of the best performances in recent memory in the postseason, with Ohio State taking out Tennessee and then doing the same or worse to Oregon. And as a result, Ohio State chosen by 52% of the people as being the favorite. Penn State bringing up the rear, only 7%. They'd like to have a little something to say about that starting tonight. So who is the favorite now as you look at it, Pat?
Yeah, I don't think it's just the people that are polling. I think it's also the sports books say that this Ohio State team is the favorite to win the national championship out of these Final Four teams. And I think if you just look at everything you need to be a champion, to be a national champion, you need grit. This team has certainly displayed that. That defensive team will literally gnaw your Achilles off if they have to the last couple of weeks. And certainly against Tennessee, and then obviously yet again against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. You have to have talent to be able to stand up to any team in the country. And obviously Jeremiah Smith is unstoppable. But he's not the only one. Henderson and Judkins in the backfield, and everything that's been happening with Will Howard as quarterback, nobody's talking about him as an NFL guy at all. I think the complete opposite. I think he is a monster. And then I think that loss to Michigan, I know Coach Saban mentioned it, I think Desmond has as well. That put a perspective for them. That put them at rock bottom. That said, what's the worst thing that could happen? It happens. Now what do? They play free, they play hungry, they play confident. I think Ohio State, for good reason, is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship right now.
I'm with you on that, Pat. I think Ohio State has got a complete team. But I think, like many of our teams, you know, we had 7 national champions, only 2 of them went undefeated. And sometimes you need to lose. We won 19 games in a row twice, and we needed to lose because the focus is not there, the preparation is not there, and when they lost to Michigan, they got humiliated. And that humiliation created a tremendous amount of motivation and attention to detail for them, and the players came together, and I think they're playing great football right now.
Yeah, I think the players only meeting with Ryan Day, it got very, very personal. It was very therapeutic from what I understand. It's an angry football team. What you're saying is right. No one in Columbus would ever say, hey, let's lose to Michigan and get angry and make this run. But that's the reality. This is a team playing with an edge. You win championships, as Coach knows, at the line of scrimmage. Ohio State's offensive line and defensive line does these last 2 games. Now, will it continue? Who knows? But the last 2 games, the line of scrimmage has allowed Will Howard and Trevion Henderson and Jeremiah Smith and all these other great players to kind of show what they can do. But, man, it's been different up there, whereas at Michigan game, it was a different story, especially for their offensive line.
Yeah, the way I look at Ohio State right now, like any championship caliber team, I've won a Super Bowl, you've won multiple national championships. The key is you want your team to peak at the right time. Now, you don't know what's going to cause them to peak when they do, but if you peak at the right time, that's when you're going to go on and win a championship, whether it's a Super Bowl, national championship. A lot of people look at the Michigan loss. That may have been the trigger for Ohio State. Listen, we knew all season long they were probably the most talented roster in all of college football. They paid $20 million for these guys, and we knew that these guys would deliver. It was just a matter of when. Now they look like the. Well, let me finish. All
right, I just want to ask you about that. You say that every week about the $20 million.
Well, it's true. It's facts.
Oregon paid $22 million. Texas paid $21
Okay, but we were talking about Oregon, though, right? We were talking about these things.
Money doesn't guarantee wins.
It does not. That's why they lost twice. You're right about that. Exactly. Yeah. So back to my point. When they lost that game to Michigan and they came together, now they understand who they are as a team and they can play as a unit, not as individuals. See, when you spend all this money to go out and get these guys out the portal, Coach, you said this. If you pay for the wrong guys, you're out of luck, right? They had the right guys, but not the right mentality. Now we see them dominating opponents. They're about to take on their second SEC school in Texas tomorrow, and they'll probably beat Texas too.
Does anybody here know that we lost to Auburn, which is like Ohio State losing to Michigan, and then we won the national championship?
Yeah.
And nobody remembers that we lost to Auburn. And nobody's going to remember that they lost to Michigan.
That's not true. That's not true. They're going to remember they lost to That is not true.
As I brought this up in a game when they played Texas, there's this perception that they went out and spent $20 million on players.
Yeah.
9 of their 11 starting defensive players are 3-year starters. They've been there for 3 years. They've lost some tough games. That's what I think is interesting about this team. They brought in Caleb Downs, who's a great player. That's it. That's the only guy on defense.
Yeah.
They brought in a backup running back who hasn't played a ton. He's a good back.
Yeah.
And they brought in Will Howard, and they brought in a center from Alabama who's hurt, doesn't play.
Exactly.
So the perception is they went out and bought $20 million reality is they paid $20 million to keep their guys from leaving and going elsewhere. So I just think that
and they went out and bought
what I'm saying,
Smith.
I know, but
he didn't come cheap.
But bro, here's the thing: the perception is wrong with Ohio State. The perception is they went out and found players. The reality is this is a veteran defense and you know what it's like when you have a 3- and 4-year guys that have been there forever, won a lot of great games, lost a lot to Michigan, lost to Oregon, lost to Georgia. It's a hardened team that's been through a lot of shit, and I think that's what makes them really have a little bit of like, this is our last stance after that.
They're the best team in the tournament right now.
Well, I think
they
the thing
start printing up hats and T-shirts.
Well, I think the thing is they're no different from most of the other contenders. They had to pay to keep guys. They wanted to supplement guys. There are a lot of big payrolls out there, and there's one team in this tournament that can step up, and if they can finally play their A game, can match them. It's Texas, but they haven't done it one single time all season. Played at the top of their game.
They have the potential,
but they have the potential if they can do it.